Okay, guys, this is my first attempt at doing a reading vlog, and I wanted to give you guys an update because I am supposed to be starting my TBR 10 this next week. However, The Space Between Worlds, I have not finished it. I have not had a chance to actually sit down and read it for a while. So I'm going to try and finish that before starting my TBR 10 and my actual vlogging of the TBR 10. So I'm about 80 pages in to The Space Between Worlds, and I'm gonna try and finish this today if I can. I have company coming over later, so we'll see if I can get there. Okay, so a little bit of an update. I have not been feeling well, and I'm still trying to finish The Space Between Worlds, but it is now officially December 1st, and I am going to start After Alice and The Nightingale. On The Space Between Worlds, I'm now 158 pages in, so I am hoping to finish that soon. I keep not having time to sit down and read, so we'll see how that goes. Okay, I wanted to hop back on here and give you guys another update. I have finished After Alice, and I guess I have to agree with the ratings that are on Goodreads. It was a solid 3-star for me, so I guess I liked it a little bit more than the Goodreads crowd did. But Gregory Maguire's writing is just not for me. It's very pretentious and over the top, and the parts about like Victorian society that he wrote about, I didn't care for. Now, when he wrote about the Mad Hatter, it was absolutely perfection, like 100% over the top, as it should be. But the whole story was just kind of, it just seemed thrown together and haphazard. But I mean, it was still a solid 3 stars for me. I'm rating it higher than what the standard Goodreads rating is. And I have also started The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. So far, it is very good. I'm a little over 100 pages into it, and I am thoroughly enjoying it. I can't wait to finish it. Let's see. The Space Between Worlds, I'm now about 160 pages into this. Also very, very good. This is probably going to end up being one of my top reads of the year. The Nightingale could be, depending on when I finish it. But I am very excited to continue on this journey of top 5, bottom 5 here. I am going to have to switch it up next month because I'm going to start my Sanderson read along, and we're starting from Elantris and working our way through, so I will no longer be having the Stormlight Archive in this part of my TBR, so it'll come with the Sanderson read along. All right. Okay, I am back with another update for you guys, and I finished The Nightingale. It was beautiful. Like, absolutely 5 stars. So the actual rating on Goodreads was a little below 5 stars, which I understand it's not going to be a 5-star for everybody. But guys, I ugly cried through the last bit of this book. Like, hardcore. Hardcore ugly cried. It was so good. And it is about the Nazi occupation of France. So there could be a lot of trigger warnings for this book. Sexual assault would be one of them. There's quite a few, and I'll go over them in more detail whenever I give my wrap up. But beautiful, beautiful, heartbreaking book. Now for the biggest update, I can't bring myself to read this, guys. I've tried. I sat and stared at it for a day and then posted about it on Twitter. Like, do I really want to read this book? Everybody said no. I think I got like one yes. I have no desire. I'm not going to do it. I'm actually just going to go ahead and get rid of this book. So it's no longer on my TBR. Because it took me so long to actually figure out I didn't want to read that book, I went ahead and downloaded from Libby Cress the 3rd book in the Lunar Chronicles series. It was really, really, really good. I'm really excited to finish up this series. It ended on such a high note that I just kind of want to pick up winter. But I am trying to get through my physical TBR. So the next book I'm going to pick up is Moth and Spark by Anne Leonard. Again, I know about as much about it as I did whenever I posted the first video. But I'm actually really excited to delve into this and see if it's going to be any good. I have not made any progress with The Space Between Worlds. I don't know why I can't sit down and read that book. It's great, so it's not that I'm not enjoying it, but I've had very little time to sit and read, and I've been trying to focus on the TBR 10 like I promised. So we'll see if I can actually get to that before starting Moth and Spark. Bye. Alright guys, here we are for the first week of the TBR 10 and my weekly wrap up. When we started the TBR 10, the book that I started with was After Alice. And I mentioned in my vlog that I rated it higher than it was rated on Goodreads. The Goodreads rating was a 2.79 and I gave it a 3-star. I liked it. I was really caught up in the Alice in Wonderland storyline. I was really caught up in the introduction to these new characters. It was enjoyable. What I didn't like about it and why I gave it a 3 stars is the same reason that I mentioned in my Giving Authors a Second Chance video. Gregory Maguire's writing is pretentious, and it comes across very pretentious when he starts writing about Victorian life. And half of this book is an Alice in Wonderland retelling, and half of it is a commentary on Victorian life. And so that's kind of where the book fell off for me. If it had just been a story about Wonderland, it would have been great, and the pretentious writing would have paid off well in regards to the Mad Hatter and the way people generally speak in Wonderland, and it would have been great. So I'm keeping it. We all know that if I don't like a book, I get rid of it. I'm keeping it. So if that gives you an idea of my general thoughts on the book,
then there you go. And the next one that I picked up was The Nightingale. This book is so heartbreaking, so beautiful. Nazi occupation of France. You're following two sisters. It starts out as an older lady telling this tale of her past, and you're not sure which one of the sisters you're actually following as an old lady. But she starts to remember her past, and the story unfolds that way. There are not many back and forth things with the old lady and the past, but there are a few. And man, okay, so this is a story about war. So any trigger warnings you can think of about war, such as assault, sexual assault, children dying, it was the Nazis, so there's a lot of like torturing and stuff like that, and sympathetic views on Nazis as well. That does come into play a little bit. It's not a theme of the novel, but there are some sympathetic viewpoints. Now, the two main characters' lives are flipped upside down because of the Nazi occupation. So take all of that with a grain of salt. But the rating on Goodreads is a 4.57, and I disagree. This book is a solid 5-star. If you round it up, that would make it a general 5-star. I understand that not everybody is going to want to rate this a 5-star, especially with the amount of trigger warnings that are in it. But Kristen Hanna, I've said before, is kind of like a guilty pleasure for me, and I only read her when I want to cry. I didn't necessarily want to cry, but man, was it cathartic to get all of those tears out in 2020. So next, I decided on kind of two things. I'm actually going to permanently remove The Casual Vacancy by J.K. Rowling off of my TBR. I had never really wanted to read it, but when I bought it, I was just infatuated with J.K. Rowling, and let me just say J.K. Rowling's writing because of Harry Potter. And so I was like, ooh, new book from J.K. Rowling. I bought it then. That's how long I've had it. So when it first came out, and I just lost all desire to actually read this book. No. So it's no longer even on my TBR. It's not a DNF. It's just I removed it. The second book in this, I realized that I have a Sanderson read-along next year, and The Way of Kings, or the rest of the Stormlight Archives, isn't coming until later in the year, and I kind of want to read them back to back. I don't want a year between when I read The Way of Kings to when I start Words of Radiance. So I'm actually going to go ahead and put that one off too. But I'm actually just putting that off until it comes along in the read-along. Okay, the next one that I actually read was The Help. I finally read The Help, guys. And it is just as good as the movie. And there were some things that were a little bit different between the book and the movie, but I didn't think that they were huge discrepancies. And I really just loved it. The ratings on Goodreads for The Help is a 4.46, and I agree. I would definitely give this a 4.5. Could I bump it up to a 5? Yes. Have I bumped it up to a 5 on Goodreads? Yes. But I really think that this is a solid story, and I have adored the movie for so long without reading the book. And funny story, I finished reading this and I was like, babe, can we watch The Help? And he was like, didn't you just read the book? I was like, yeah. And he goes, okay, fine. I didn't know he hadn't watched it yet. Him and my son absolutely loved the movie. Loved it. So I was really excited about that as well. Now, I did start Moth and Spark, but I haven't got very far yet. So that's my currently reading. I am also currently reading The Year of the Witching. And I didn't think I was going to get to this novel, but I couldn't put it off anymore. I read the first 15 pages when I picked it up and was hooked, and it's been calling my name. So I'm kind of tandem reading Moth and Spark and Year of the Witching, and so we'll have updates for those. There were 2 other books that I completed this week, and one of them was Crust by Marissa Meyer. It's the 3rd book in the Lunar Chronicles. You guys heard me talk about it. Those books are just fun reads for me. I don't think that they're anything epic, but they're so readable and so fun, and the story is so enjoyable that I have a hard time saying, oh, they're young adults and they're bad and blah, 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 they're tropey. But the Lunar Chronicles really isn't all that tropey, but you have to realize that you are also reading a fairy tale retelling with each one. And I have really enjoyed them. I gave that book a 4-star. And then I read Artificial Condition by Martha Wells. It's the 2nd in the Murderbot Diaries. I was okay with this one. It wasn't my favorite story. All Systems Red was great, like fantastic. This one just kind of fell off a little bit for me. I am going to continue with the series because I do like Murderbot and I do like their journey of discovering what they are. Because if you read All Systems Red, we find out something about them that is a little different for an AI. But that concludes my weekly roundup and my TBR 10 for this week. So I will continue reading Moth and Spark. I am still working on the Space Between Worlds. I don't know. I just need to sit down and finish it. But I will see you guys in my next video.